It's Thursday, January 18th, 2024. Let's talk about the news. From The Guardian, thousands of tractors block Berlin as farmers protest over fuel subsidy cuts. An estimated 30,000 protesters brought Berlin's city center to a halt on Monday. The thousands of tractors, forklifts, and delivery trucks they brought with them, gumming up city streets in protest of a plan to phase out the country's agricultural fuel subsidies. These protesters, many of them farmers or working in some aspect of the German agricultural industry, say that they are suffering under rising operational costs, and cutting agricultural fuel subsidies will further hobble their attempts to remain solvent. Similar, smaller protests were hosted across the country, and far-right politicians have been accused of riling the protesters up into a violent mood, though the country's Green Party agriculture minister has also expressed support for the protesters, saying that the country's finance minister, who championed the cuts, did a terrible job of communicating the whys and wherefores of the plan to farmers. From Reuters, North Korea's Kim calls for South to be seen as primary foe, warns of war. On Monday, the dictatorial leader of North Korea, Kim Jong-un, announced that South Korea should be redesignated as the country's primary foe, and that it would no longer seek peaceful reunification, instead leaning into military conflict if such a thing should arise. This is relatively standard language for Kim and his government, but the response to this messaging from Korea-watching analysts, who are generally fairly calm about the North's saber-rattling antics, has been substantial, as this seems to imply the North's recent internal propaganda about war preparations might be more than just talk, and that North Korean military developments, including a stockpile of dozens of warhead-capable nuclear weapons, could actually be intended for use, not just for deterrence of the South and its international allies like the United States. And from the Wall Street Journal, federal judge blocks JetBlue's $3.8 billion acquisition of Spirit Airlines. A U.S. federal judge has blocked the proposed acquisition of discount airline Spirit for $3.8 billion by rival company JetBlue. The judge ruled that this merger would reduce competition in the discount airline space in the United States, and that it would lead to higher fares for customers, and thus cannot move forward. This merger was meant to help JetBlue and Spirit create a new megacorporation in the airline industry, capable of directly taking on other huge merger-made entities like Delta and United, though the proposed implementation of JetBlue-like changes to Spirit's planes and service offerings implied that prices would need to go up, and thus cost-conscious flyers would have fewer options across much of the United States post-merger. This ruling may have implications for other intended mergers in this space, like Alaska Airlines' recently announced plan to scoop up Hawaiian Airlines for $1 billion, though following this ruling, Alaska said this would not affect its merger plans because of the nature of the involved airlines. If you're finding some value in One Sentence News, consider leaving a quick review wherever you get your podcasts and/or sharing the show with a friend. You can find out more about this show or subscribe to the email version at onesentencenews.com. And you can support this and other related projects, like the Let's Know Things and Brain Lenses podcasts at understandery.com.